So I don't know if you guys know, probably most of you guys are here from my Eric Andre skit that I reposted like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. So, but I'm a big UFC fan. If you look through my channel, you can see all the edits I've made. And I'm just gonna give you guys my predictions while I'm on the bike at the gym. I'm trying to think about how I'm gonna set up this shit. Oh, I gotta stay like this, no cap. Damn. All right, we on like this. Oh my god. Alright. So. Fight number one. Co-main event. Jorge Masvidal versus Gilbert Carino Burns. Jorge Gangbred Masvidal versus Gilbert Carino Burns. So, one thing with this fight that a lot of people aren't talking about is how willing Gilbert is to brawl. Gilbert is a guy who, despite having good striking, despite having good grappling, just being a very well-rounded guy, he still is tempted to get in those exchanges where he's just like going to war with people. And we saw the Wonder Boy fight. Wonder Boy was able to find openings to really hurt Gilbert. And a good point I've seen for Jorge is the fact that whenever people give Jorge a pocket, he really takes it and he can knock you out. And Jorge's old, man. He's 38 years old. But you really got to analyze how these guys fight. Because as good as they are, you need to take that into account. He had a whole war with Hamza Chimaev, and even though that guy has power, he was so telegraphed. He was going, like, you could tell what he was going to do before he did it, right? And the thing is with Gilbert, it's like, if he was willing to trade with a guy like that, then if he thinks he can trade with Masvidal, he's going to be in some trouble. Problem is Masvidal will be in trouble too. Gilbert has hands. And the last time Masvidal got in somebody's hands, he got knocked out by Usman. So he's got to be careful. He has to be careful. One thing with Jorge too is when Jorge underestimates his opponents too much, he pays for it. And he's done that multiple times now. But the biggest example has to be Usman. He was doing good in that second fight. And then he was here, he was laughing off of the strikes, and then boom, he gets knocked out. So one thing he's got to do differently is he's got to not underestimate his opponent, but he's got to go out there with that warrior spirit he's had in his last, 6 fights now, since 2019. And he does that, he really can put him away. Probably, I think the longer this fight goes, the bigger chance goes for Gilbert to win. But it's not a 5-round, it's a 3-round. Well, actually, my favorite Masvidal. It's his first 3-round fight in like, I don't know how many years, like 3, 4? So, we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see. Now, if we're asking for my prediction, Jorge has a good takedown defense. He was able to stuff some takedowns from Usman and Colby. If he can do that, he could probably stuff Gilbert's. And if he can keep it on the feet, and if Gilbert wants to trade with him and he makes that act, Jorge really could do some damage, man. So here are my predictions. I either got Gilbert Burns by a 3rd-round submission or unanimous decision, or I got Jorge Masvidal by a 2nd-round KO. And I'm picking that because I'm a Jorge fan. He was my first ever favorite fighter. Whenever he fought Usman, that's how I kind of heard about him, for the second time. Because I remember over 2020 is when I started watching UFC with my dad. And every once in a while, this clip of this dude with the beard lean up against the fence going like that, and then you go up there and blind this guy in the face. And I was like, who is that guy? He's so cool. That was Jorge Masvidal. And then come around 2021, I'm like, he's fighting for the belt again. And I'm like, wow. So, I'm hyped. I'm like, let's go, Jorge, and everything. Like, I've been seeing this dude, I've been thinking he's cool and shit. And then, oh my gosh, he goes out there, underestimating him way too much. He gets knocked out, bro. That's probably the most, a fight has ever affected me. When he got knocked out, I was so devastated, bro. He took the loss with grace, though. And man, now we fast forward, 2 years, basically, fighting around the same time, Gilbert Burns. Said if he loses this fight, he's going to retire. And God bless him if he does, man. So I think the best case scenario is Jorge loses a competitive decision, or like he does a really competitive fight, because Gilbert is no slouch of an opponent, man. He's no slouch. I just don't know if Masvidal has the same fire he used to. I watched all the material, by the way, all the interview material. I watched the car ride with Greg Komodo. I watched all the embedded vlogs. I watched the countdown. I watched all the promo. And just like, it doesn't really seem like he's there. Like, he's happy to be there because of Miami and everything. But he just don't seem like in it, you know? Not like Gilbert is. Like, somebody made a good comparison. It was like Rocky IV. Like, Jorge's out here with like, I don't know, like, doing sprints and eating tacos, doing all this shit. But like, Gilbert's out there like in the gym, training hard, seeing his family and shit like that. And it really made me think about the fight. And I'm like, shit, I'm like, it makes sense, man. And Gilbert's a good dude, and that's why I'm conflicted ultimately. Because like, as much as Jorge is my favorite fighter, I like Gilbert. He's a good dude, man. He's a really good dude. And to see Jorge, a guy who doesn't train as hard, knock a guy out like Gilbert who works that hard, it would just suck to see, bro. It really would. Because for me, I always feel like the guy who works harder is always going to get what he deserves. So seeing a guy like Gilbert lose that, maybe what the fuck, man? I don't know though, Jorge, I've been getting some signals that he could come out though, bro. And I think one of them is the card placement. They put it in Miami. Now he got knocked out in Jacksonville by Kamaru. But Jacksonville is not Miami. It's Florida, but it's not Miami. The UFC has not been to Florida in 20 years. And the last time that was, a 17-year-old Jorge Masvidal, before he turned 18 years old, was in there in the crowd. And he looked at his best friend, and he said, you know, I'm going to be out there one day. That's what he said. He said, I'm going to bring it back here, and I'm going to be fighting on it. And then 20 years later, look at him, right? He's pumped, man. He's fired up, man. Looking like 305, bro. 305. So we're just going to have to see. But I got Jorge by round 2 KO. I want to believe in him. I'm going to get my Game Bread shirt on. Jorge Game Bread Masvidal. Yeah. So yeah, but I mean, look, but as a guy with a technical mind, and I've watched a lot of MMA. I watched every UFC fight in 2021, 2022, and I've missed a few in 2023, I gotta be honest. But I've seen every fight from 2022, basically from 2021, and mostly every fight from this year. I skipped a few, I'm not gonna cap. But I've probably missed like one event. So, but like when I say I watched every fight, I mean I literally watched every fight. 2022. Alright. But yeah, I'm a Jorge fan. I'm rooting for him. But this is the fight game, man. Gilbert's a good dude too. He's a really good competitor. That's why I'm hoping the neutral good ending is like Gilbert wins by a really close fight and everybody's like, damn, Jorge's a beast, you know? And then like, everybody don't fucking disrespect him no more, you know? Because this guy, like, he was a hard vet, man. He fought really hard. He fought his ass off for so many years, right? 20 years, right? But it took him 16 of those years to really hit his potential. He won on this game show. La última, alguna cosa, something like that. It was, I know I just said that in Spanish, but like, it was like some course, like some game, right? And it was filmed in the Dominican Republic. And like Jorge was a contestant on it in 2018. And he was sitting there thinking like, bro, I'm really on a fucking game show right now? Like, how has my career ended up here? And he's like, you know what? I'm tired. Why am I doing these decisions and everything like that? He's like, I'm not gonna let it go to the decision. I am gonna do my absolute best to finish this guy. Like, I'm gonna go for the finish no matter what. And then that's when he knocked out Darren Till in London and pulled that first upset of 2019. Then obviously from everybody's like, holy shit, like Jorge's the real deal. And he goes up there like, and he's like that, yeah. Then goes out there, knocks out Ben Askren in 3 seconds. The guy who everybody was thinking could challenge Robbie Lawler, who he choked out, and then Kamaru Usman for the title. Jorge goes out there, bro fucking eliminates his ass 3 seconds. And I've understood the point where people are like, yeah, but if Askren took him down, it would have been over. But that didn't happen. You can even look before the fight started, Jorge was practicing that knee. People want to take the credit away from the strikers when they knock out the grapplers when it like ended. So, I don't know. So he practiced that ahead of time. Same with Leon in his head kick. So, yeah, and then obviously the ABS fight, I got stopped a little early, but it's okay because these fighters, they got lives, they got family, you know, they got everything going for them. So it makes no sense for them to continue like doing something like that. Just to be tough or machismo or something like that. Like, that's stupid. So it's good they called that fight. And that was a really exciting fight for how long it lasted. And I don't even think Nate Diaz has been dropped in his career until that moment. So, yeah. But those were his 3 fights that really skyrocketed his fame. And then he had a main event with Nate Diaz in New York City in December 2019. Like, you gotta be a pretty big deal to get that. Then Gilbert was supposed to fight Kamaru. Gilbert had to pull out. Then there was Usman versus Masvidal. He came in on 6 days notice, had to cut 20 pounds. He lost by decision, but he's all right. Then he come back a year later, gets knocked out, fights Colby a year later after that. And now he has 3 losses in a row over 3 years. So, you know how it is. But Jorge Masvidal, second round KO. So he's my boy still. I'll move forward. Then for our main event, we got Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya 2. If you guys have followed this, you'll know this is actually their 4th time fighting each other and 2nd time in MMA. Now, I gotta be honest, I feel like whenever, especially with UFC, whenever people are heavily doubting an opponent, that's when they win a lot of the time. And you gotta look at who is being doubted the most. With Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman played. Everybody was doubting Leon Edwards' ability to go out there and get it done. He knocks him out in the last minute of the 5th round, right? And they rematch. They're like, well, there's no way Leon will win a rematch. When you get knocked out, that mentally affects you on so many levels. And we saw that with Kamaru Usman. He was not the same fighter. The way he fought was not as aggressive. I mean, Leon Edwards picked him apart for 5 rounds, and nobody thought he would do that. So, what you need to look at with this fight is who was being outed unfairly. And that's Israel Adesanya. He won most of their first fight, and then he got TKO'd in the 5th round because he got checked by a leg kick. Now look, I'm not an Adesanya fan. At one point I was an Adesanya hater, but I don't hate any fighters or athletes anymore because most of them are really good dudes. They just put on a mask, some of them do for the press conference and stuff. Adesanya is one of them. Just because his way of doing things is a little bit cringy doesn't mean he's a bad dude or a bad fighter by any means. So, with Adesanya being heavily doubted in this fight, despite being a fantastic athlete and having the ability to really hurt Alex Pereira very badly, I just think one thing he could do differently is he's always hurt Alex Pereira in the very first round of their fights, every time. What he needs to do in the second time is try and shut it out as early as possible. Because he needs to find where he's finding success and stay there. Because in every single one of his fights, he's done the same thing. Starts well, ends up with a decision. Starts well, gets knocked out in the later rounds. Starts well again, hurts him in the beginning, gets knocked out in the later rounds. So what does he got to do to capitalize on his strengths and on Pereira's weaknesses? He needs to cut him off early and finish him soon. But, I don't know. He supposedly has that dog in him. Who wore that dog collar at the press conferences? I don't know, his demeanor has been different, man. You look, like I said, I watched all of the pre-fight material, all the embeddeds, all the countdowns. I haven't watched the individual interviews yet, so I'm going to do it later after I'm done recording this for you guys. But Adesanya's body language, very different. He was way too cocky going into the second fight, even delusional. And I noticed this because he verbatim said, he beat me 2 times in kickboxing in the past. And I'll tell you what, anybody who's ever wrestled or kickboxed or boxed or did MMA, when you've had to fight an opponent multiple times and you've lost them multiple times, to say that it's a completely different situation because it's the 3rd time around, you're crazy. And I say that because you know they have that capability to beat you in a lot of different ways, right? But it still doesn't mean it's not going to be competitive, right? And what a lot of people forget is that you can still go up there and win. I have a personal experience with that in wrestling. I'm going to name drop him, by the way. But I wrestled this guy named Zach Evans twice. First time I wrestled this kid was about a year ago. And technique. A tech is in wrestling when you get 15 points to 0 and you stop the match, right? It's probably the most embarrassing way you can lose as a competitor. But Wrestled for 7 years, I was never that good. This was the first year I was trying to be good, so I went out there and wrestled anybody. I always did that, right? Got picked by him, right? Then I wrestled me over the summer. But after this time, just to say F it, because he was like a guy who messed around with you, pushed you around, talked to you while he wrestled you. So I said F it. I went out there, I was putting that pressure on him. I looked stupid, by the way, hardly in a stance. But went up there, and I underestimated him, and I got pinned. I let him have my arms when he was on top, bro. I didn't even defend. Like, I was being stupid. Now, third time around, I wrestled him en route to the state title with my team. Our team are state champions, by the way, now. And we didn't know if we had to wrestle bandies or something team called West Lincoln. Ended up being bandies. I prepared all day to wrestle this dude named Mason Avery, who's the current state champion for 182 at West Lincoln. Now, I already wrestled Mason Avery once, and I was preparing for him because I analyzed the tape with him, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do against him, right? And we thought we were going to have to wrestle West Lincoln. Turns out Bandy's supposed to upset, now we got to wrestle Bandy's. But I was prepared. I not only looked at his match, but I looked at Zach Evans' match with me and the other guy that I wrestled with, Caleb, who wrestled him. Now I was like, damn, we're going to go with Zach again? I was like, let's go. Because what I didn't bring up to you guys is how much better I got in between those two matches and in the third one. By that point, I was ranked 11th in the state. I lost to a guy who was 23-0 by about 1 point. I almost pinned him, but I ran out of time in the second round. I'm about 12-4. The only people I lost to was Mason Avery, who's currently state champion, but ranked number 1 state when I wrestled him. Seth Blackledge, who was ranked number 1A, who was also a state champion now and was his freshman year. A kid who was ranked 4th in the state, which I don't know from where else. I think he might have placed 3rd at state this time though. And he was from Alexander or something like that. And then some nobody at 195, who I lost by like a point because I was being stupid. But that was a weight class up, right? So here we go, right? I'm back in. And whatchamacallit? I was ready for Mason Avery, but I got to wrestle Zach, who's 1 weight class up, right? This match is incredibly close. It comes down to me. Basically, if I get pinned, they can still win. My only job is to go out there and not get pinned. As long as I don't get pinned, we're guaranteed to win. But obviously, I wasn't worried about that. I was just ready to go out there and wrestle my match. But you look historically at what's happened in the past, it's like I got attacked, and then I got pinned, and now I'm wrestling for the 3rd time. So probably mentally, they thought, okay, we've already beat this guy twice, he's out of it, right? He's not in it no more. But my gosh, guys, that match was so close. I didn't end up winning that match, but the way I wrestled Zach was completely different. And I let him know that. I went out there, my stance was short. I was short to the ground, I was low. I was faking shots. I was sprawling on his shots. He wasn't taking me down. And I was getting in his head mentally. Zach had to hurt me. And he just came back with a really close match from another guy on another match. He pinned this kid. Nobody could believe it, right? Now, he comes out here to wrestle me, probably thinking I'm gonna be easy work. He teched me last summer, he pinned me, right? But he was wrong. He went out there and took me down. He went out there, he did a lot to me, man. But I stayed tough, I stood up on him. I pushed him away, I sprawled on his shots. And it was going close, going into the final round. But I got to stand up. And the ref said he was going to call me for stalling. So I knew what I had to do. Went out there, and Zach was like, bro, why are you so angry, bro? And he said, I'm not angry. I said, you're just mad. I said, what? I said this. I said, you might beat me, Zach, but your team is going to lose. That's what I said. I pushed him away, and I shot on him, and he lined there with me and took me down. But I stood up again, pushed him, shot on him, and then I took his ass down. But it didn't count because he was barely out of bounds. But I kept coming at that motherfucker as hard as I could, pushing him, doing whatever. And then whenever it ended, I saw the look on his face when I realized I stole his state title from his team. I don't got nothing against Zach Evans, right? But they did not expect me to come out like that. That match was so close that you take away the stalling calls. And you take away that shitty shot I took with the Lion Tamer, and we're talking about a tied match. And then you give me that final takedown I took, and I beat Zach Evans. So, it's wrestling versus MMA, right? You got to go with the mentality going into it. Adesanya is not talking to me crap. He's not being lame about everything. He's going in there really respecting his opponent. And if he really formulated a good game plan, I really think Adesanya could win, man. Because let me tell you, I was this close to beating Zach Evans, and I did it. People were saying Pereira has Izzy's number. I don't believe that. And I'll never believe that. I never will. I mean, think about, and then go back to Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards, right? Nobody thought Leon Edwards would ever beat Kamaru Usman. They were even pissed off he was getting title shots. They all thought it was a waste of time. He knocks him out in the 5th round. Then, they're like, well, we can't beat him by decision. He does that, right? So what feels more impossible right now? Pereira beating him a 4th time? Or is he coming out here and beating him, right? Especially with how many upsets we've seen over the past year. Jan over Izzy. Aljamain Sterling over Petr Yan. Pena over Nunes. Leon Edwards over Kamaru Usman. Ankalaev and Jan Blachowicz getting a split draw. Like, you gotta take these things into account, man. And I gotta be honest, I feel like the tide is shifting. Oh, Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje. Like, shit, even Charles Oliveira is on Makachev. Oliveira was doubted for so long. And then after pulling upsets, I knew he was gonna win. Against Poirier and Gaethje, everybody was like, how is Islam gonna win? Islam wins, right? So, what feels more likely here? It's Izzy getting it done. And that's why I feel like Izzy's gonna win. I think he's gonna shock everybody. Look, I'm not even an Izzy fan. I don't care for him. By the way, I love Pereira. That dude is such a cool champ. Let me go down and talk about Pereira for a little bit. Pereira is from a tribe called the Patasho tribe in southwestern Brazil. It's in a region right underneath the Amazon rainforest, and I forgot the name of the other rainforest in Brazil. It's pretty big though. Well, he lives in the area right there. It's called Bahia, or Bahia. I don't know how to pronounce it in Portuguese, Brazilian. But he's from an indigenous tribe in Brazil. And that's why his proportions are so crazy. You know, he's from the Amazon. He is a tribesman, right? And he had a lot of trouble growing up, man. A lot of people want to make him out to be the bad guy. But this dude was an alcoholic growing up. From the age of like 13 or 14. He worked at a tire shop every day, right? And he like fought kids in the street all the time. He got in trouble a lot. Like, this guy had a hard upbringing. But how he got coached was one day while he was working on tires, his coach came to him and said, look, how about instead of fighting this kid in the street, you do something with your life and you go fight in boxing, right? Pereira's like, all right. He goes out, starts boxing, and he works really hard, and he's knocking people out. He's finishing people and everything like that. And then he gets the nickname Poatan, which means stone hands in his language, Patasho language. I'm not sure what the name of his language is. But Alex Pereira would go on to be an amazing kickboxer, but you know when he started kickboxing? He started kickboxing when he was 21. This guy did not start doing any type of fighting until he was 21 years old, a trained fighter. He was an alcoholic. He had nothing. And then, there he was, champion of the world. He did not get clean from alcohol until right before his fight that he won the world title in glory kickboxing. Then he would start his fight with Adesanya. He beats Adesanya by decision and knocks him out, right? He would go on to become the glory 185-pound champion and 205 champion. Nobody had ever done it before. Now, Alex Pereira comes in the UFC. He knocks out Andreas Michailidis. This Greek guy, they kind of set him up, to be honest. The guy's not that good. But he knocked that guy out easy. This was October 2021, November 2021. And I remember how crazy it was and how excited I was. And I was like, bro, I'm like, you're telling me the guy who knocked out Adesanya is fighting tonight and he's making his UFC debut? I heard that he was making his debut about a month before. And I was like, no way. The funny thing is, whenever I was researching Izzy's fight with somebody, maybe Vittori or something else, I saw that Pereira, this guy named Pereira, knocked him out. And I was like, yo, that means he fought Michel Pereira. And I told my dad, I'm like, we gotta pick Michel Pereira because he knocked out Izzy. That was not true at all. I just mixed them up because of their last name. Michel Pereira, Alex Pereira, no, nothing related. But then I heard the real Pereira, who knocked out Adesanya, was coming to UFC maybe, and I was like, he makes his debut. He comes out with the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm a big history guy. I have a whole history YouTube channel called Tiny Rosu where I make history videos. And I made a whole video for Alex Pereira. But dude, he walks out to the song He holds on marching like this. And then he draws an arrow back and goes, oh! And then he walks in the octagon like hitting and stuff. Like, this dude has the most like visceral walkout I've ever seen. And I'm like, he is so dedicated, nobody can do it. He's awesome, bro. Like, because Native Americans are not represented that much in media, or movies, or on sports really too. But they've always been there, bro. And people just haven't wanted to notice them. Because the guy who played football, he's one of the most famous football players ever. Nobody ever knew him, but that dude was Native American. I forgot his name. He played in like the 50s or 60s for like the NFL. Even the 40s actually. But Alex Pereira, though, he's this guy who shocked the world, man. Came from a tribe in the middle of nowhere. I fight in the UFC, he knocked out Nicolaitis. He fought Bruno Silva in March of last year, maybe February of last year. And that fight was pretty back and forth, actually. I didn't think it was that back and forth, but Bruno Silva's a little inconsistent. And Alex Pereira got a shot against Sean Strickland last year. I think June or August of 2022. He fought Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland was talking all the crap about Alex. He's like, I'm never going to let a good kickboxer beat me. What's he going to do? Go like this? Right? He goes out there. Alex Pereira knocks him out for a cold. Well, actually, it was a TKO, but obviously TKOs are TKOs for a reason. But Alex had the statement. And Izzy, being the good champion he is, he's like, Alex Pereira, pull it on, come get it. I'm going to leave you frozen like Elsa. That line is awful, but regardless though, Alex had a hard time being what he was too. People don't want to admit that. Yes, he got a title shot really quickly. Yuri got a title shot quickly, he won the title. Chuck Liddell got a title shot early. Anderson Silva, Brock Lesnar, these guys that are the legends of the sport got a title shot early and they were long-reigning champions, man. John Jones too. So, even Izzy himself, Izzy got a title shot after 1.5 years, brother. So, to say that Alex did not deserve that, it's crazy. Especially with how dominant of a champion Izzy was. I mean, this guy beat Kelvin Gastelum to become interim champion. Really showed his heart in that fight, by the way, which people aren't talking about. I'll go back to that. Then he knocks out Robert Whittaker. And I think he fights Joel Romero, which, look, don't blame nobody in that fight. They both could have done something. Even though I'm a big Joel fan, you know me. Then I think he fought Costa. And then he fought Jan Blachowicz, lost. That was up to 205. Then he fought Vittori, beat him. Then he rematched Robert Whittaker. Yeah. And then he fought Jared Cannonier. This guy was tearing it up. He had lapped the division on a few guys. Marvin Vittori, Robert Whittaker, just beat Cannonier. Like, dude, he was doing good, bro. And then he was like, screw it. I'm going to fight Alex Pereira. And who wants to fight that guy? He's enormous, bro. He's enormous. Dude, when he's in the off camp, he weighs like 240. He's like a heavyweight. Like, brother, nobody wanted to fight him, but Izzy was like, bring him on. Because he knew that's what he needed for his reign to be legitimate, you know? And he knew Alex would get there somehow. Takes this fight. He's doing good against him. He hurts him in the first round. Keeps going, he keeps going, he keeps going. The problem with Izzy was he was in denial about him being better, you know? He was in denial. He was like, this guy beat plus kickboxing in the past. But he's not factoring in that Alex is the better fighter. He's the better fighter because he knows how to manage his emotions and manage the fight. Izzy was not a good fighter because even though I think technically he's better, he doesn't have that killer instinct. He let his guard down in that 5th round, just throwing kicks out of nowhere, and then one of them got checked. And after it got checked, it was all downhill from there. Got hit with one blow after another. And with the guy with power like Poatara, you can't do that. So where I think Izzy can win this time is when he stops fighting with his brain and starts fighting with his heart. Because we saw that in the Gastelum fight. And that's something I used to pick on him for. But what now I'm realizing is what he needs against Pereira. He's tried to fight this guy, technically, 3 times now, and he's lost every time for that reason. Either he got beat by decision, either he was winning by decision and got knocked out, either he hurt him early, winning by decision, then got knocked out. But he lost because he was too careful. And now he's at a point where if he loses a fourth time, he's out of it. He's not going to get another chance. So if you ask me what he needs to do, he needs to be reckless. He needs to go out there and put everything out there. Or he needs to fight how he's fought before, but in that 5th round, he's a monster. He goes out there and fights like he's been losing the whole fight. And that is how Israel Adesanya is going to win. And that's how I feel like he might win. I just don't know if he realizes that, bro. Because I feel like what gets in your head, especially when you fought somebody that many times that's been that competitive, is that like you can beat them. And we all know he can beat them. He's had 3 competitive fights with the guy. Some of them ending in a KO, but very competitive, right? What he's not thinking about though, is that if he fights a technical fight with him, he's gonna lose every time because Pereira's heart's always in it. He needs to bring his heart into it like he was in the Gastelum fight. He was gonna lose that fight. But in that 5th round, he went out there and sloshed him, bro. He got knocked down at first, but he sloshed him. I think he knocked down Gastelum like 4 times, bro. And Gastelum has never been the same since that fight, by the way. By the way, rooting for him against Chris Curtis. You know, I like both those guys, other situation. I'll get to that in a second. But bro, like, Izzy needs that dog in him again. And he kind of cringed when he had a dog collar on. And he was just waiting for somebody to ask about this. And he was like, what are you got in your head? He said, I'm a dog. And whenever this comes off, I leave the dog out. That's what he said. And I feel like, bro, that's the most crazy thing I've ever heard. But, like, look, man, if he's being serious, he needs to. He needs to. I like that he hasn't been talking trash. I like that he's been being serious. Because he realizes he's a threat. But he's got to go out there with some heart, man. And that's where I think Jorge is going to make up for it in this fight. The difference is I don't know how hard Jorge has been training. He doesn't seem like he's fighting like he wants it. Weasel made a good point in the analysis. He said, if Jorge's head is still in it, he's training really hard, he thinks he can really get it done. But what made him not want to pick him was the fact that Jorge doesn't train hard. He's about 38 years old, which is at the end of the MMA career. He's not going that hard anymore, right? It's not a good sign for a guy like Masvidal who needs to beat a guy like Gilbert Burns. So, but if Izzy, who has been training hard, goes out there and fights with his heart more than his brain, I think he can win. Pereira wants that too, man. They both want it bad. It's going to come down to one and more. And who's going to lay it all down on the line? Because when you saw Izzy on his come up, he took those chances. He was a wild man, bro. He was a wild man. He was knocking people out like the Brunson KO, the Tavares finish, the Robert Whittaker finish, the Gastelum finish. He went out there and he wasn't afraid to take the damage, or afraid to take the hits, right? He needs to go out there with that same mentality. And if he loses it all, he loses it all. But we know he's going to lose the decision if he goes out there and tries to fight with that, right? So that's what we got to see. That's what we got to see, man. And like I said, I'm not a big Izzy fan, but I'm rooting for the guy. I really kind of am rooting for him because he's such a good dude. And I like Pereira a lot. And I think he's a really good dude too. So I think a lot of the reason why he doesn't get as popular as he does is because he doesn't speak English. But I'm proficient in Spanish. So whenever he speaks in Portuguese, I listen to him and I really just listen from his heart. And I can understand some of the shit he's saying because, you know, Herman's languages. But then I look at the translation. I really don't get what he's saying. And I'm just like, dude, this guy is just as poetic as him, man. He was talking about how he knew he would become champion because he's worked so hard, you know. He doesn't talk a lot. He's a quiet guy or anything like that. But he knows he's going to win because he always does what it takes to prepare to be there, you know. And whenever he said that, I was like, that's so true. He said it was always written. He said it was just up to me to uncover it, to find that. And I believe he'd get done again tonight. But if you know anything about me, I always root for the underdogs, man. I always root for the underdogs. And I just don't feel like Pereira's an underdog no more. I think he was an underdog because everybody was doubting him, saying like, oh, he's gotten so much better. I'm like, don't doubt this guy. He's ready to come out and put on a performance. And he did. We're going to see how it goes this time. But now I think people are down to Izzy. I think the people that don't know anything are rooting for Izzy just because they like him. But which is why them to stop, because they're making me second guess myself. I think the thing is, I've never disliked Adesanya. I've just disliked his fans. They're solid, bro. They're so bad. But Izzy can't help that. He just breed the worst fan base ever, bro. Pereira's fan base is awesome. They just talk about him knocking or him following Adesanya. That's another thing to knock him out. It's so funny. But yeah. So here's my final prediction. By the way, I don't think any grappling is going to happen in this match. Contrary to what people believe. They're both going to stay standing. No grappling in there. I got Izzy by a second round KO at 3 minutes and 5 seconds. I got Alex Pereira by a unanimous decision victory or a 4th round KO. And those are my 2 predictions. If you're asking me right now who's going to win, Israel Adesanya, 1st round KO, 3 minutes, 5 seconds, 305. It's gonna happen, I'm telling you. Corey Masvidal, CPO. Let me bring up to you guys another thing too. In UFC, it's usually the most unlikely combination that happens. So both the underdogs don't win, or both the underdogs will not win, both of them will not lose. Both of the favorites will not win, both of the favorites will not lose. It's always a combination of those two. It's dry fuck. So if I had to pick 2 cards like DraftKings or something, I'm going to say Pereira and Jorge, or Adesanya and Gilbert. Those are the 2 that I would pick. Those are the 2 combinations. Now let's talk about some of the other fights on the card. We're about like 36. That's why I started this live stream, because I knew if I could talk about UFC all day. And I had to get my predictions out there, so I'm like, shoot, I'll do my predictions while I'm riding the bike. So, now, Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. Rob Font is a really tough dude, man. This guy used to be a pizza delivery driver, and he became an MMA fighter. He went up to a party one time, there was UFC on the screen, and then he was like, dude, what is this, bro? And they're like, no, it's MMA, bro. How do I get into it? Just go to the gym, start training. That's how Rob Font started training. And this dude got good. I forgot who he beat at bantamweight, though. He beat some good dudes, bro. He beat some former champions. I don't think he beat Jose Aldo. He lost to Jose Aldo. He beat somebody like really good, though. I was like really surprised that he beat. I'll just tell you what I remember about him very recently. Rob Font put on a very good performance in Chito Vera, despite getting hit a lot. Rob Font's activity was through the window. He had probably twice as many strikes on Chito Vera. Because of that power difference, Rob Font's face was like a horror movie. It was awful. He fought on somebody else. I don't even know. I should have looked at it. But from knowing what I know of his Font has really good activity. He has really good boxing. And he will go all 5 rounds and take disgusting amounts of damage. The problem is, like, you never know when somebody's chin breaks, like Tony. Like how I thought Gaethje might against Fizdia, but didn't. Like, you never know. But the activity is there. And he's fighting Adrian Yanez, who I think personally has a little bit less activity, but he's just as willing to go out there and bang. And he knows how to finish a fight, too. If Rob Font thinks he can go out there and take shots from Adrian Yanez like that, he's going to get knocked out. But I think he has every capability to take that fight to a decision, or maybe even finish him himself. It's not going to be a one-punch KO, but he has fast enough hands he could really put it together. Adrian Yanez, I mean, brother throws like I don't even know, like Jorge Masvidal, Tejano Jorge Masvidal, like something like that, bro. Like he's crazy. Go up there and look like that, like, bro. But if you're asking me to pick a guy right now, I gotta go with Adrian Yanez by 2nd round KO. That's how it's gonna happen, bro. Simple as that. Simple as that. Now, what's on the card? I think they have one more guy on the main card. He goes Rosas Jr. Rosas Jr. versus Christian Rodriguez. Probably another fight on that. Oh yeah, Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland, Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio has really proven himself that he can find that KO shot. He's like Chito Vera. He's not like Chito Vera, but welterweight. He takes his shots. He has that power, but he's a sniper. He waits for his moment. That's why his nickname is the Argentine Jagger, bro. He like he waits and he strikes. Kevin Holland is just a trash talking, like trash talking, like smacking kind of dude. He's got the hands, bro. You saw the Bucky KO. That was vicious. His Bucky KO. He was doing okay against Wonder Boy before he got schoolboy. We don't know how his chin is after that. He took a lot of bad strikes. They had to throw in the towel for it. It's his corner. Look, guys. Kevin Holland, I think he could be great if he didn't stop being himself. Bro got 5 wins in 2020. That was crazy. The most fights in the calendar year, I'm pretty sure, or he's tied for it. He has established himself as a veteran, despite only making his debut, I think, in 2020. Maybe 2018. But Heineke's fought the most in 2020. Kevin Holland has the capability to win this fight. Because of the way Kevin Holland fights, he's not going to win this fight. Look at the records. Kevin Holland is 23-9. Ponzinibbio is 29-6. The 3-loss difference with 6 wins. You got to take that into account. Ponzinibbio is the smarter guy. Ponzinibbio makes the smarter decisions in fights. And that's what I think is going to be the difference, man. Kevin has a really good chin. You know, that's something I didn't take into account. Kevin's chin is so good. When he fought Alex Cowboy Oliveira, he was some shots and take him down. He was good to go. He's never really been in trouble. Funnily enough, the only time he's been in trouble was a headbutt against Kyle Dawkins, where he got knocked out for a second, and that boy had to get stopped because of it. And that's the only time his brother has been dropped. Like, when you saw Hamza fight, but he didn't take any shots in that fight. He took no damage in that fight. Dude, if you're asking me, I'm going to have to say it. It's going to sound wild. Kevin Holland by decision. I changed my mind halfway through. Kevin Holland by decision. Ponzinibbio's good, and I know his record is better. Well, Holland has got that dog in him, bro. He's got that dog in him. And I love Ponzinibbio in the, what is it? In the press conference, he was talking about how he's going to make Argentina proud, like how they won the World Championship that year. He's going to fight for them like he's fighting for the World Championship because he believes he's going to be champion one day. I would like the guy. I just think Kevin Holland's going to get it done. Now, Raul Rosas Jr., 18-year-old fighter, Mexican fighter. Damn, I love that kid. Not really, actually. I feel pretty different to him, but it's cool though. I'm 17. I'm gonna turn 18 May 30th, 2023. When I saw this kid fight, he was 17 years old on Dana White's Contender Series. I was like, what the fuck? Like, no fucking way. Bro fucked up his guy. The striking, the grappling, all put together. It's fucking impressive, dude. Like, he is a force. The guy he's fighting, Christian Rodriguez, is 10-2. 10-2 with finishes and KOs. That motherfucker is not no joke, bro. Chris Curtis had some beef with Raul for a minute because he was saying, like, bro, only reason you're on that main card is because you're young. Like, it should be being Gastelum on there. And I fucking agree. I was actually thinking that before he even said that. So whenever he brought that up, I'm like, yeah, I agree. But I do understand why they put him up there. They're in Miami, you know? Para la raza. ¿Entiendes? Like, it's because of where they are and his age. He's an 18-year-old Mexican kid. Throw him out there. You know, people are going to love him out there. Everybody loves him anyway. To see a guy that young and that talented, you know? But he has a real fucking challenge, bro. And to be fair, for dudes like Chris Curtis and Kelvin Gastelum, I think they deserve that main card spot. But what are you going to do about it, right? They want to sell him. They know people love the guy. So it's all cool. But let's analyze the fight. I think Rosas Jr. might be undefeated. Pretty sure he might be undefeated or lost only a couple or some shit like that. He had a medical exception to fight in the UFC because usually kids his age aren't allowed to be in the UFC. They gave him an exception because of how gifted he was and how he performed in amateur fights. I also think he got away with it because he was born in Mexico and fought there for a while before moving to the USA. It's just a little bit different in Mexico. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. But he had that diferencia entre los opponents, you know, like he had that difference. So that's why he was put out there, right? Él venció algunas personas en diferentes deportes, algunos en boxing, algunos en MMA, pero todo, además jiu-jitsu, además jiu-jitsu, pero en todo, él muy bien opponent, bro, for UFC, un muy bien peleado. He deserves to compete. I gotta be real good. He's hungry. He has a lot of momentum. I'm gonna say Robert is winner by round one submission. Again, guy has good hands, but his grappling is fucking insane. Round one finish. I don't know a lot about Christian Rodriguez. I know he's well-rounded. He's fighting with a lot of momentum. But it is kind of reminding me of the side of Nurmagomedov. He lost to another, guy similar like that. People without him, oh, we can't beat. Sorry, he goes out there and beats him. That was probably about a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Forgot a little bit. But if you're asking me, follow us next year, round one sub. Now, the preludes. What I was telling my buddies, this is the best card I've ever seen year round. That's why I've been talking for about 45 minutes. I'm going to talk about all the matches I remember on the preludes. So, I can remember right now, Joe Pyfer versus GM3. Just got on the top of my mind. So, forgot who GM3 was supposed to fight, but I know Li Jingliang and Michael Chiesa was also on this card. I think that whole fight just fell out of the water completely. They might have replaced it with this one. But GM3 versus Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer looked pretty good on Contender Series. He's pretty average, He was aight. But if we're talking about him being aight, GM3 is mega. He is mega big. He is like the most mid-fighter of all time. And somehow, to give you a perspective of how inconsistent some fighters are, this motherfucker finished Bruno Silva, the same guy Pereira had problems before he fought Adesanya in UFC. So MMA's a crazy sport. But GM3 is not a good fighter, bro. I do not think he's going to beat Joe Pyfer. I really don't. And I don't know much about Joe Pyfer. Just by the way he fights and the way he conducts himself, he's going to win that bitch. 10-2, just something in 5, maybe 9, 30-9. He's a vet, but just dude, he sucks, bro. There's no way. Probably going to eat my words and GM3's going to win now, but Joe Pyfer. Kelvin Gastelum versus Chris, the Action Man, Curtis fucking Curtis, bro. It's tough because I really like both these fucking guys. I like Gastelum so much because brother is a 5'8", 185, just like your boy, right? And he gave Adesanya the most problems out of anyone. I'll even say Pereira, because whenever he fought Pereira, he was controlling that fight until he got knocked out. Competitively controlling the fight, right? When he fought Kelvin Gastelum, brother, it was 2-2 going in the 5th round. And when I watched that shit over a couple of days ago, if you ask me, bro, Kelvin Gastelum had him 3-1. Now, I don't know what the Georgia judges' scorecard said, but that motherfucker was losing that fight. And then Izzy came out there with, I think it's kind of stupid, a little bit corny, but he was like, I'm prepared to die. Is what he said while looking at Gastelum. And the motherfucker did. He went out there and knocked him down 3 times, bro. And these ain't just little dinky knockdowns. These are boom, those kind of knockdowns. Like Papi Gio knockdowns. It was quick, like that, bro. Dude, that shit was bad. And then he finished the fight by knocking him down and just going, bah, 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 bah. I can't believe he even survived, bro. He survived with this much. And the reason why he did is because, bro, I think he lost years of his life in that fight. He has not been the same competitor since I need to watch the Whitaker fight. I need to watch that fight. I missed that. Like I said, I watched almost every fight in 2021. That was one of the main cards I missed, but I was excited to watch, right? He hasn't fought since then, bro. He's tried to fight Imavov in January. That shit got scrapped. He had a stomach problem or something. I always thought he was old. Bro, he was 27 when he fought Adesanya in 2019, which, despite being 4 years ago, that means Kelvin is 31, 32. This guy can still make a run for the title. If he's still hungry, he has more than enough capabilities to get there. Especially when we've seen dudes like Guido Kinetic, who's 43 fucking motherfuckers up. He got submitted his last fight. Damn, that shit was close. Right? We had Glover Teixeira go out and put two incredibly close performances out. Actually winning the fight in one of them against Yuri Prohaska and fucking Jamal Hill. Two young, angry, hungry opponents. Right? It's another one of these, bro. It's just fucking wild. Old motherfucker. I don't know. But Jorge, 36 years old, he's not doing that. Knocks out Davidson, knocks out Ben Askren, knocks out Nate Diaz, DK. Like, bro, if we're gonna doubt him, we have no reason to. The guy's 32 fucking years old. He's not that old. And he's fighting Chris Curtis, who surprisingly is older, 36. I think Chris Curtis is in his prime, hasn't taken that much damage. Meanwhile, Kelvin Gastelum, even though I think he should be in his prime, the amount of damage he's taken has finally worn on him. He's not the same guy anymore. But I want him to be that same guy. Because he gave Adesanya's toughest challenge. He really did. You watch a lot of some of his fights, he was the toughest challenge. He almost did not win that fight. But there we are, here we are. Right? Chris Curtis, meanwhile, took him forever to get into the UFC. Brother made his debut in late 2021. Can you fucking believe that? And then he went out to finish like Brendan Allen, Joaquin Buckley way later. I forgot that was like 2022, late 2022. I think he fought like 3 times before the end of 2021. Made his debut in like October. Fought like 3 times, finished everyone. It was like Brendan Allen. Oh shit, it's coming. Derek Brunson and somebody else. But dude, he was on a tear, bro. He was on a tear. He's my favorite fighter. I just love seeing the comeback from him, bro. You would get hurt or taken down, and then bro would get up and just knock their ass out. It was awesome every time. I love Chris Curtis, bro. Then could have beat Jack Hermanson, but Jack Hermanson did a little super run away type of shit. Lost that fight. Then went out and knocked out Joaquin Buckley. I think he was supposed to fight Imavov and some shit. That didn't work out. It was like some shit just kept not working out. But brother. Chris Curtis, the action man, is now fucking fighting Gastelum. And if we're going by momentum, bro, it's gotta be Chris Curtis. But if we're talking about like skill-wise, it's just gonna be a banger. It could really go either way, bro. But I gotta pick somebody. As much as I love Gastelum, I've been a Curtis fan for a long time, bro. I'm gonna say Chris Curtis, round 2 KO. Gastelum, unanimous decision. Right here, calling it. It's gonna be a banger, bro. Fucking banger. I'm trying to think of the rest of this card now. There's some other good fights in here, man. I'm trying to fucking think. Let me look at the card real quick. If there's no other good cards, if there's no other good fights left, I'm gonna end the stream here because I've talked about all the fights. I'll give you a pretty firm down of my final predictions. Got Joe Pyfer, Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira, Jorge Masvidal, Joe Pyfer, Kevin Holland, Adrian Yanez, Kevin Holland, Chris Curtis, and Raul Rosas Jr. Those are my predictions. Let's see if there's anybody else on the card. I think because it stops the YouTube live stream whenever you leave, so we're just gonna have to see. God dang, I've been on the bike for an hour. Dude, look at my legs, bro. Me when I talk about UFC for like an hour for nobody, there's no viewers. Oh crap. Keeps you guys here. Or maybe it paused the live stream. All right, let's see.